Well, I tell you what, I've had a fabulous weekend with the Telstar guys, and this is the closest I've ever been to a real professional, a top fuel operation, and I can't thank you guys enough. I've had a great time, and Charlie, I just got to ask you, did everything live up to your expectations, and are you happy with everything?
Yes, yes. Everything we expected did happen. The part that we were a little disturbed with, this car was originally built to be a slip tube chassis, and it didn't quite work the way we wanted it to, so we had to put some reinforcement in it. And then after we did that, it turned out to be okay. Our times, all our short times were quicker than anybody here. It was our first pass on the car was nervous, of course. Everybody was nervous, and it was good. It was really really good. I wish we could have got it all the way through on one of the other passes, but it just didn't allow us to do that this time. We built this car. I wanted to build this car. The thought process that went into this car, I don't like putting weight on it front end, and now we got to put some weight on the front end. This tire is so aggressive on a good biting racetrack, and you see from all the tape that you shot that it was carrying the front end. Dave likes to drive like that. We like to drive like that. It doesn't bother us at all. If it carries it to about 6, maybe 10 inches for 800-900 feet, there's no problem with that. But what it was doing, it wasn't getting enough speed early enough in the run to push the front end back down. So then he couldn't steer it when it was actually trying to pull the front end up rather than push it down. So as we get more runs into it, we're going to make some weight bars and put it up there in the nose, and probably carry about 60 pounds. And the rule of thumb is for every 100 pounds you lose a tenth. For every 100 pounds you take off, you gain a tenth. So we're going to put 60 pounds on it, and then take the wheelie bars off, so that's extra weight that we don't need.
Right.
And then go out there and do it again. This car, we want this car to run 560, 260 miles an hour. If it runs 560, 260 with a 671 on it, we know that we can take and probably put a 1071 on it and run 540. We don't want to go there at this time, but we have all the mechanics to do that. If you notice in the front of the engine, there's fuel timers, there's BDK valves, there's a computer up there in front. There's everything that we need to go and be a very, very fast car. Our expectations were really, really great. We expected the car to do what it did. We weren't quite expecting our 60-foot time to be as great as it was. So we just worked with it. It only had 4 passes on it. One of them, of course, we had a problem with.
Right.
We had an oil leak, which is my mess up on it. But
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a little bit about that oil leak. Now, after their very first pass on this particular car, they got back to the pits, and during their clutch adjustment, when they took the bell housing off, you detected some oil in there. And what was the problem with that oil leak?
when we put this together, this engine came with a girdle where the main caps and the side rails are all one piece. We took and put a L. Martin main bearing setup on this thing where it has individual main caps and side rails that were, before we couldn't pull the mains down and check them between rounds. Now we can take and pull the mains down individually and check them. That side rail that was on there, I put silicone on it to seal it aluminum to aluminum, and it should have been a special sealer on it, and no one told me that. Okay. And I should have known better, but I thought, well, okay. And that's what the problem was. And when the crank starts windmilling in the engine and throwing the oil around, it was just seeping out through the imperfections between the block and the pan rail. So we just resealed it. Mark went underneath there, checked the mains, everything's fine. Oil leak is stopped, and we're ready to go.
Yeah, I think Diamond Dave Miller lovingly referred to that sealant as gorilla snot.
David, I tell you what, David, it's been 4 years. I did not realize it. It's been 4 years since we've been out trying to put this operation together. one of the things that we wish we could have done, and why we were trying to get something going in 4 years, was a rear engine car. That, of course, didn't happen. We have this front engine car, so we're going to campaign this car and be very professional with it and run very, very hard. We want to take this car and be the fastest, quickest front engine dragster that ever ran. All our short times, as I said before, were quicker than anybody that was there. And there was one particular car there, the Orange Crate, Dale Shure, which is a very good, very competitive racer. And he's gone 570, 258 already. And our short times are all better than his. And he was, in fact, he was standing there watching some of the races, and he had commented to me. He said, "Charlie," he says, "this is going to be a good car." So as soon as we get the tune up there, we only had 4 passes on it all weekend, you know. So we'll get it right and we'll get it correct, and it'll be a fast car, it'll be a quick car, and we get everything smooth and working good. One of the other things that I spoke to you earlier about